Battlefield 2025, Battlefield 7, or whatever we want to call it, is starting to generate some of its own buzz. While not a ton has been officially said and we're still very early on into things, I wanted to take some time to recap everything that we know so far about the next installment to the Battlefield franchise. From launch to dev size to multiplayer details and more, we've got a ton on deck to discuss that even though we're so early into this journey, there's still more than enough to learn about. So drop your thoughts as we go along. What are you hoping to see in the next Battlefield title? If you enjoy the video, find it at all insightful, or enjoy the multi-game coverage, do me a favor, drop a like on it. Of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with all things Battlefield and more FPS content. I would love to have you in the community, but for now, let's get into it. So firstly, let's talk about the launch timeline. When can you expect to have Battlefield, the full offering, in your hands? Well, it was stated to release this year for a while, but more recently, EA mentioned that it will launch by the end of its fiscal year, which gives us a little bit of runway until April of next year. In its Q3 reporting, EA stated EA unveiled Battlefield Labs, a new initiative allowing player-driven testing and innovation ahead of the franchise's expected fiscal year 2026 release. Now, what I said earlier about the fiscal year's runway is that EA's fiscal year operates differently than a standard calendar year. Their years are measured from April 1st to March 31st of each year. So that means that currently it includes Q1 of the calendar year, but is claiming to be the furthest out we'll see it launch, being the end of their fiscal year. Now, historically speaking, Battlefield has targeted the October to November releases, as is standard seemingly in the FPS space. So I'd still imagine that's the target, but with a fiscal year window, it gives a bit more runway if needed. It's also been stated this game will be the largest development team in Battlefield history, with the studios of DICE, Criterion, Motive, and Ripple Effect all working on various elements of the game. This is being headed up by Vince Zampella steering the ship. Zampella had a direct hand in some of the Golden Age CODs, working on COD 2, COD 4 Modern Warfare, and Modern Warfare 2, and had a direct hand in Titanfall. God, do I want a third, and then a direct hand in things like Apex Legends and the Jedi games. So while at the helm during 2042 attempting to correct course after the launch, this will be his first foray into leading the charge with the game's dev and subsequent launch. Though there are a ton of additional notable names here from prior great projects and even prior great Battlefield games that are coming into the fold here, either returning or have their first hands-on attempt with the game, that a lot of these big names seems like it's going to be something that signals their confidence in what they're building. The campaign and the setting, Motive is working on this with Criterion mentioned to be helping. Supposedly, it's looking to be a soft reboot of the franchise, kind of akin to how Modern Warfare restarted as Modern Warfare in 2019, despite having 3 prior installments of the same name, but it's focused on a modern setting here, and the storyline is at the moment described as being a focus on a NATO versus PMC storyline set anywhere in the realms of 2027 to 2030. So near future conflict, but close enough on that horizon that we can still consider it a modern title. And frankly, with all the tensions going on in the world right now and the geopolitical climates, might be a safer bet here in regards to that, to not piss off any specific nations. Multiplayer, we just recently saw Battlefield Labs get detailed, where it showcased a little bit of gameplay, like really brief looks on what is showcased, but we got our first glimpse at what that gameplay will look like. Optimistic viewers saw the potential comparisons to Battlefield 3 and 4. In fact, the 3 OST is what played during the segment of that gameplay. Destruction was showcased, which in recent years has been pretty lackluster, so to see that be a focal point and one of the first things shown off in the initial teasers was a pleasant sight. Apparently, according to leaks and rumors, the target here is going to be more so 64-player combat for the next title, scaling back from the combat we saw of 128 in recent years, and I'm sure that will be hit or miss with some players, but I think that in terms of combat pacing and keeping up with the frenetic action of Battlefields in the past, 64 players is that solid number. Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming reported that we'll end up seeing 45 weapons at launch and 10 multiplayer maps at launch, focused on heavily dense areas, not as much open space and open air as we saw with, say, Battlefield 2042's maps. And obviously, it's a lot more weapons than what we saw launch with Battlefield 2042, so likely a welcome piece of information. Another thing that a lot of players will probably enjoy is the apparent class system returning, coming back to support, assault, recon, and engineers of what Battlefield fans have been used to for the classic games. Apparently, Portal is also looking to return. According to YouTuber Flackfire, who was included in the early presentation of details given to creators and press ahead of the announcement of Battlefield Labs, he'd stated that Portal will be returning from 2042, including classic maps, weapons, and more like we saw with the most recent outing in 2042. So a cool little feature there that appears to be making a comeback, which is probably very welcome for a lot of players. And also, that Destruction kind of coming back to it, one of the leaked pieces was that caliber-based destruction was going to be something that was returning, meaning that we'll have more destruction with the heavier artillery and so on and so forth, down to smaller caliber of items, but also it should mean we have larger grand set pieces of destruction as well, which is really cool. And then finally, the last thing that we kind of really know about from leaks and all these details is a brand new experience being worked on by Ripple Effect. One rumor is that it's just going to be an evolution of Battlefield Portal, and with that coming back, it's possible, but additional leaks more so point towards this being a free-to-play Battle Royale in the Battlefield offering, apparently going to be set in a tropical climate, directly taking aim at to compete with things like Warzone. Now, it would not be the first foray into the Battle Royale category for Battlefield, but also this is where I'm sure it'll be perhaps controversial topic for some. Battle Royales are still atop the industry, with PUBG still drawing 750,000 players each month at peak times, Fortnite still drawing in millions of players, Apex Legends still holding down the fort for EA in that front, and Warzone, well, for my community here, Warzone is probably something that could use a little bit of competition to kick it into gear. But what's different this time around, and why I think if this rumor has legs, it could work, is it's different this time around. And I mean that fundamentally speaking. Firestorm in Battlefield 5 was kind of doomed to fail given it was tethered to the paid experience of the game. You had to pay $60 to gain entry to that, and the game had a lukewarm reception at launch, and then with lackluster support for the mode as time went on, it just kind of continued to dwindle off. But you put a free Battle Royale out, and I think that changes everything. I said it for years, I think the foundational groundwork of Battlefield meshes so well with the concept of a Battle Royale. And this is coming from somebody who's kind of burnt out on Battle Royale, so like, it's not me saying this needs to happen to be successful, but I mean, if you look at it, if you make a Venn diagram of Battle Royale and Battlefield games, you have big maps, vehicle traversal, large player counts, high intensity action. Well, it's not really a Venn diagram at that point, overlapping at any points. It's just a circle. The fact that EA hadn't done a free-to-play full investment into a BR earlier with a grounded military theme, honestly, kind of surprised me. So that might also be another large portion of what Battlefield has on offer with the next upcoming offering. So right now, that is everything that we know about Battlefield and the upcoming title here at some point, very likely coming later this fall, but also could be something that, again, if that runway is utilized, earlier into 2026. And with GTA 6 reportedly coming out later this year as well, wouldn't be surprised if a lot of publishers kind of hold their games back a little bit so they don't have to directly compete with GTA 6 and player numbers that's inevitably going to have. So that said, that is where we're gonna wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is there anything in particular you're hoping to see out of the next Battlefield? Anything that has been mentioned that you're particularly excited for? Let me know. If you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. Of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more Battlefield and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.